Good evening. I'd like to call the meeting to order. This is a special meeting of the San Bruno City Council, November 15th, 2012. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Medina.
Here.
Mayor Ruane.
Here.
Councilmember Salazar.
Here.
Councilmember O'Connell.
Here.
Kim Duran, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We do have one announcement this evening. There will not be a City Council meeting on the fourth Tuesday in December. The only regular City Council meeting in December will be held on December 11th, 2012. Presentations. We do have one presentation this evening, and that is to present a proclamation to Marion Wilson Silvestri, San Bruno Resource and Recovery Center. And they have played such a huge part in our recovery, our continuing recovery, that I would like to read this. Recognizing and expressing appreciation to long-term recovery manager Marion Wilson Silvestri for her initiative and effort to help San Bruno residents rebuild their lives. Whereas Marion Wilson Silvestri spearheaded the American Red Cross local relief and recovery efforts following the September 9, 2010 disaster in San Bruno's Crestmore neighborhood. And whereas Marion helped form and facilitate meetings of the Long-Term Recovery Committee that included over a dozen civic, service, and nonprofit agencies. And whereas Marion enabled and assured delivery of services and programs for more than 275 residents, representing 78 families, including the monthly coffee hours, citizen CPR training, and Build a Preparedness Kit party. And whereas the funding assistance of the Peninsula Healthcare District, Marion established with the San Bruno Resource and Recovery Center to host a wide range of services for residents and serve as a meeting place for community groups. And whereas for over 2 years, Marion selflessly dedicated her significant energy, talent, and compassion to assisting residents of the Crestmore neighborhood to rebuild their lives and homes. And whereas Marion's leadership and the results she achieved toward the community's full recovery is providing a long-lasting benefit to San Bruno. And now, therefore, I, Jim Ruane, Mayor of the City of San Bruno, and speaking on behalf of the entire City Council and all of our citizens, do hereby recognize and extend our sincere appreciation to Marion Wilson Silvestri for her initiative, her effort, and her compassionate support to the residents of San Bruno. I do know that Marion's not with us this evening. She is at a new location, I believe.
She went back home to North Carolina.
North Carolina, but we do have someone here to receive.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I will definitely let her know. Sure, certainly. Thank you. I'm Madeline Mackey. I'm the External Relations Officer for the American Red Cross Bay Area Chapter, and it seems I have made a habit of following in Marion Wilson Silvestri's footsteps. I started off, she was the External Relations Officer, and when she retired the first time, I was hired into her position, and then she was called back into service during the San Bruno gas line explosion. I talked to her a few days ago. She said she misses San Bruno, she misses the residents. And if any of you are ever in North Carolina, to please stop by for a mint julep and to say hello. You are always welcome. So I'll be sure that she receives this award. The Red Cross is remaining here in San Bruno. We are going to continue to serve your residents and take care of this community till everyone is back and recovered. So thank you so much for this.
Thank you. And she can always ship those, you know, under separate cover for Thanksgiving if she wants, right? Tell her thanks. Thank you. Much appreciated. Review of the agenda. I don't have any issues with the agenda. Any? No. Okay. Approval of the minutes of the special City Council meetings of October 9th, 23rd, and 29th, 2012, and regular City Council meeting of October 23rd, 2012. Any errors, changes, submissions? Seeing none, they'll be approved as submitted. Consent calendar, all items are considered routine or implement an earlier council action that may be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion unless requested by a council member, citizen, or staff. Any action on the consent calendar?
Move to approve. Second.
Motion and second on the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Public hearing. There aren't any public hearings this evening. Number 9 is public comment on items that are not on this agenda. It is the council's policy to refer matters raised in this forum to staff for investigation and/or action where appropriate. The Brown Act prohibits the council from discussing or acting upon any matter not agendized pursuant to state law. Would anyone like to address the council on public comment? You would like to?
When I listen to all the remarks as the issues come up.
We can't hear you. You'll have to get,
I couldn't hear you either.
oh, okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's for the recording, Rose. Yeah.
First of all, I was asking if I could save my comments until the issues come up, and then I know what I want to talk about.
Yeah, are the issues are the items under 10, the resolutions? Is that what you're talking about, that we're going to visit in a few minutes?
See, I didn't hear it very well, so I don't always understand it.
Are the issues you want to talk about, are they on the agenda tonight?
Well, it depends on what you're going to talk about.
Well, item number 10, we're going to
Okay.
talk about a resolution to accept title to
Let's
real
see.
property.
Yeah, because I want to hear the resolution, what it says.
Okay, all right. As long as it's
And-
about
and-
something that's on the agenda, then we'll listen to you when I introduce those, okay?
Okay, I'll blink my eye.
Okay. You're there, I see you. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so, any other public comment? Go to into conduct of business. First is A, adopt a resolution authorizing the city manager to accept all title to real property, to accept dedication of roads into the city street system, and to execute escrow and other documents for property transactions relating to the grade separation project.
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, you may have noticed that there is a grade separation project going on in the city, and that project has been made possible in part by a complex series of property transactions between Artichoke Joe's, the City and County of San Francisco, and the Railroad Agency, which consists of, in part, the JPB. So those transactions are outlined in the staff report and on the two maps that you have in front of you. The map on top, believe it or not, is the simpler map that shows some of the transactions that we're talking about in tonight's staff report. The map on the bottom, the more complicated and therefore more difficult to read map, unfortunately shows all of the transactions. We did do our best with a lot of help from the engineering department to try to make them as legible as possible, but as you can see, there's a whole series of things that are happening. But here's the brief summary. In brief, the JPB gets the property it needs for the grade separation. Artichoke Joe's gets reconfigured parking, and the city gets clear fee title to the 50-foot width of Huntington Avenue and the sidewalk at no cost, plus the reconfigured Angus. All those things are going to be occurring as part of the grade separation project. So escrow between all of the parties is ready to close on all of these various property transactions. And there's no money coming to the city, and there's no money going from the city. This is at no charge to the city. The first of a couple of actions that we're going to ask the City Council to take as the grade separation project moves toward completion are the ones tonight. And those tonight are to request authority for the city manager, and if appropriate, in some cases, the city attorney, to sign all of the documents that are necessary to close the transaction. So what does that include? It includes accepting the conveyance of Huntington and Angus and dedicating them for public street use. That's one of the things we're asking you to do tonight. It also includes issuing what are called certificates of compliance and a finding of exemption to Artichoke Joe's. Those are for the parcels it's going to use for its lots, and they wanted assurances from the city that once those lots were created, they wouldn't somehow violate our general plan or local zoning ordinances, and we've determined that they don't. We've also determined that in an exemption under the government code, they don't need to file a parcel map for those properties. None of those actions confer any development rights to Artichoke Joe's. It's just a ministerial act that the city can take. We're also requesting this evening that the City Council approve the curb cuts in the Artichoke Joe's parking lot, so they're assured of access into their lots. And those curb cuts are shown approximately in the locations that they're going to be on the maps. Now, we want to make sure that you rest assured that the city's engineering department is scrutinizing all of the legal documents, including legal descriptions, not to mention these maps, to make sure that they comply precisely with all of the things that need to be accomplished for the city to get what it needs, and so the other parties can close the transaction independently. At a later date, we'll be asking the City Council to take some additional actions, such as abandoning the city's rights in the reconfigured streets, which we don't need anymore, and accepting new easements in the Caltrain right-of-way. That's going to involve some additional property transfers, and at that time, we may also have some additional cleanup items in case anybody's noticed anything that needed to be to be fixed about the property boundaries or their descriptions. Now, while it's not part of this action, staff has had some discussions with the railroad agency about the future use of the former station for potential parking and other uses with the nearby Lions Field and park areas, and we made mention of that in the staff report. We will report back to you about that at a future date. So that concludes my staff report. Staff recommends that you adopt the resolution, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions of Mark, staff? Any action?
I'll introduce the resolution. Councilmember O'Connell.
Aye.
Councilmember Medina.
Aye.
Mayor Ruane.
Aye.
Councilmember Salazar.
Item 10B, adopt a resolution of intention to approve an amendment to contract between the Board of Administration, California Public Employees Retirement System, CalPERS, and the San Bruno City Council, and authorize the city clerk to execute required CalPERS certifications. Kim.
Thank you. Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council. As you are aware, the city currently contracts with CalPERS to provide retirement benefits to its employees. We provide benefits at a 2.7 at 55 formula for our miscellaneous employees and a 3% at 50 formula for safety employees. During the course of recent negotiations, one of the items that the city has been working towards is getting a provision within those negotiated agreements for second-tier retirement. We have, at this point in time, reached agreements with 4 of our 6 bargaining units, including Fire, Management Employees Association, Miscellaneous, and the Mid-Management Unit. One complication during the course of recent negotiations on this topic is the passage of Assembly Bill 340, the pension reform, which you heard about previously from our city attorney at some detail, that basically... I wasn't picking on you. That
Perhaps too much detail.
Some.
which establishes new retirement formulas for new employees into the CalPERS system after January 1st, 2013. The caveat is the way new employees are defined, and so the pension reform defines new employees as employees that are new to CalPERS. The employees that are not covered are new employees to San Bruno that are coming from another CalPERS agency. Under the pension reform legislation, those employees would be coming into San Bruno at the current formulas, so the 2.7 at 55 and the 3 at 50. Establishing a second tier with CalPERS would allow those new employees to San Bruno, but coming from another CalPERS agency, to come in at a 2% at 55 formula for miscellaneous and a 3% at 55 formula for safety. Now, because of this pension reform, CalPERS is requiring that all contract amendments be finalized, be in place by December 30th, 2012. Their view of this legislation is that after that date, there are no more contract amendments with CalPERS. So this is essentially the window that we have to operate within, is to execute this contract amendment in that time frame. So in order to proceed with the contract amendment, we first have to adopt the resolution of intent, which is the item that's before you tonight, that essentially says that we intend to amend our contract with CalPERS. In doing that, we have to disclose a number of items, one of which is the disclosure of the cost savings that will come from the establishment of the second tier. And those were included in the council packet and are available also for the public to look at. The decreases in the miscellaneous employer rate will occur as new employees are hired into the second tier. So at this point in time, it's difficult to estimate what the true savings will be. However, they will occur sometime beginning in 2015-16, and the new employee contribution rate would be 7% rather than the 8% that employees currently pay for the 2.7 at 55. For the fire unit, the cost valuation report provides that the new employer contribution rate would be 20.9% as opposed to the 36.6% that we are currently paying for our existing fire employees. However, it's not as it seems. It's not a 16% savings because there are certain factors that as new employees are hired into the new tier, the rate for the old tier will continue to increase. So in actuality, the savings is estimated to be just 1.8% at this point in time for fire employees. So in order to move forward with the actual contract amendment, we'd adopt the resolution this evening, but we also have to reach agreements for battalion chiefs that are currently in the public safety mid-management bargaining unit, as they are part of the fire unit in PERS. And so while we've reached the agreement with the fire unit, which includes the majority of employees, we do have to also reach an agreement, and we are working towards a side letter of agreement or something along those lines to include those 2 battalion chiefs that are in the public safety mid-management unit. And then similarly for the miscellaneous PERS unit, we have the agreement of the majority of employees. However, we do have miscellaneous PERS employees as part of the POA. We have clerks and dispatchers. So again, we would have to reach agreement with those employees or those units on this matter in order to move forward with the actual adoption of the ordinance and the contract amendment. So basically tonight you'd be adopting the resolution of intent. We'd wait 20 days, and the current schedule would be to, if we reach agreements with those 2 bargaining units on this matter, we would move forward with the adoption of an urgency ordinance at the first meeting in December, because it does have to be active and in place by December 30th. So the only way for that to occur would be through an urgency ordinance.
Good.
So.
Any questions? This is a resolution. Would someone like to introduce it?
I'm having trouble hearing. I know I am a product of the airport noise, but that doesn't help me hear.
Let's see
Can
what.
you use those mics?
There's no loudspeaker. These are just for the tape. That's a problem. Yeah. Did you want to say something about this resolution, Rose, or not?
I didn't hear the whole thing.
It has to do with CalPERS going forward. I don't think that's what you were going to talk about.
I only heard pieces of it, that's all.
Okay.
Rose, is there something on CalPERS, the retirement system, that you're interested in?
No,
Okay.
I retired already.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Why don't we do this? Irene, you introduce the resolution.
I'm introducing the resolution.
Carol?
Councilmember O'Connell.
Aye.
Councilmember Medina.
Aye.
Councilmember Salazar.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Ibarra.
Aye.
Mayor Ruane.
Aye. We're going to go into, Rose, we're going to go into closed session, but just as a courtesy, I want to make sure we don't leave you out. What did you want to talk to us about this evening?
The grade separation and stuff like that.
Well, we already adopted
Sign up for it, what you agreed to, I don't know.
we agreed to do some property transfers for Artichoke Joe's and parking lots and things like that.
Artichoke
Yeah,
Joe and his property,
right.
but, what are you gonna put there? What would you like to put?
That's just, no, we're not going to put anything anywhere. It's just it's a paperwork transfer of property rights, so that there's no, the city of San Francisco owned a lot of that property, and some of that's going to be used for Artichoke Joe's parking when the grade separation is complete.
Does San Francisco still own property along the railroad tracks?
I believe that's part of the transfer, Mark, is it?
Much of that property is going to Artichoke Joe's, and a portion of it is going directly to the city, so that we have a 50-foot wide Huntington Avenue and sidewalk.
So they don't own it?
They do now, but they won't after we're done.
Because I know that they own property along Huntington. And
Right, that's correct.
I was wondering if you still owned it.
Much of that property is going to the city for a 50-foot right-of-way along Huntington.
That's what I wanna know too, is what we're gonna build there.
No.
No,
No.
it's just a street and sidewalk.
Street and sidewalk, nothing built.
Okay,
Okay.
I'm just worried about high rises and that good stuff.
Well, you don't have to worry about high rises there. All right. Thank you, Rose.
Thank you.
All right, item number 11, we'll be going into closed session conference with a legal counsel, existing litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956A.9A. Names of the cases: the California Public Utilities Commission order instituting investigative matters 1/12/01/07, 1/11/02/16, and 1/11/11/9. California Public Utilities Commission rulemaking matter R11-219. So we're going to go into closed session, but before that, I do want to wish everyone, on behalf of the entire council, if I may, and a very, very happy Thanksgiving next week, and if you're traveling, a very safe one. So, adjournment, this city council meeting will adjourn to November 27, 2012 at the Senior Center.